Hey guys, glad to have you watching. Last week I posted the do-it-yourself setup I have made for my Messor Barbarus, and this week I will be showing you the colony itself and the beautiful tunnels they created. This is the view we have from the outworld. You will be able to see the nest and the outworld at once. As soon as I dropped in a part of the setup, the ants started digging. Beautiful ant trails through the entire setup, grabbing sand from the wall and dumping it in the outworld. A big part of the colony is helping out, walking through the pre-made holes and grabbing sand to create a safe space to nest. This is one of their older nests, which did a great job, but cleaning up the poop inside their tunnels is impossible. And I think they wouldn't mind the extra space as well. I thought tapping the ants inside an extra outworld would be as efficient as it could be. The ants are in complete chaos right now, but it will motivate them extra hard to find a decent place to nest. The queen entered the setup through a test tube, packed with workers and brood. The queen is hiding somewhere now and the ants are digging. All that remains in the test tube is some of the brood, and some workers defending and taking care of it. A lot of the ants are working around the clock, big and small. After 2 days of digging, I noticed the test tube was completely empty, and a large part of the colony was packed together on the bottom floor. From this point on, a lot of the ants were still digging, and a large group of the colony started to collect the seeds as well. As most of you know, Messor Barbarus is an ant species that mainly eats seeds. I do give the colony some insects from time to time, but the biggest part of their diet contains seeds. Their old seed storage was in this nest, and since a lot of the seeds were taken out, I was pretty curious where the next seed stash will be. A lot of the times Messor Barbarus nicely sort out their seeds, but my colony looks a lot like me. Everything is everywhere, and it's not even close to being sorted. Relocating the seeds made me worry a little bit. I wanted to be able to moisten the nest every now and then, or at least have the option to do so. I made a hole on the side of the setup, so I would be able to water the nest using a syringe. I even made sure to add some clay balls to retain some of the water. But if the ants choose to bring their seeds close to the nest, I won't be able to water it, since the seeds have a chance to germinate. And as much as I love greenery, I don't want it to be in my nest. Instead, I chose to add 2 water tubes in the setup, one in the outworld and one on top of their digging site. But as you can see, the seeds are everywhere. Like I mentioned, they look like me, so it's a mess and my options were limited. They even have the seeds next to the clay, so watering with a syringe was definitely not an option. I think they should be fine though. I never watered their previous nest, and I think the colony is big enough to maintain the moisture they would like it to be. I always thought that Messor is not my kind of ant, but they are really growing on me, now that the colony gets a little bigger. I love to watch him walk around with the seeds, one struggling harder than the other. Small miners who are trying really hard. While for another worker, it looks like it's no effort at all. Or 2 ants pulling on both sides, and a very clumsy major worker. The ants collect their seeds so that the major workers can crack the shell. Once the seed is opened, the ants chew it up to make so-called ant bread. This is basically just chewed up seed, which gets shared with the rest of the colony. The ant bread is easy to move around and contains multiple seeds and all the nutrients the ants may need, sugars and protein. It's advised to give your ants seeds that are already cracked, so it takes the colony less effort to open, especially for the younger colonies. The major workers have bigger heads than the minor workers. These heads are filled with muscles, which makes their mandibles really strong. But smaller colonies don't have these majors yet, so make sure to crack the seeds for them. Talking about these majors, I have been trying really hard to get some decent shots of them, but they are hiding really good, close to the queen. And if I spot them out in the open, it won't take that long for them to hide as well. But I will keep on trying until I get some decent shots. These majors are really impressive. Some of them have heads the size of a miner. And even though the ants rather run in panic than attack, be careful with them as they can bite really hard. This means you will have to be careful with white-tongue nests as well, since they will make Swiss cheese out of it. But like I said, these ants will most likely panic if they feel any vibrations. You could use something soft like a towel to dampen those vibrations. This is what the ants have managed to create in 7 days. I thought their diapause was already over, but I think moving them in their new setup make them a lot more active. Only a small portion of the colony is in the nest, while the rest is gathering seeds or digging. And in case you are wondering why the entire structure isn't collapsing, I used claysand, which hardens out after you moistured it. I also placed some twigs to provide some extra stability. This is how their setup looked like before all the digging went on. If you're curious how I made this setup, you can click the link above. It will also has a list of the materials I used to make it, including the clay sand. At the end of the video, I will include 2 time lapses of the colony, for the ones that can get enough of Messor. And for the rest of you, I hope you enjoyed this video. Every subscriber puts a smile on my face, so please make me laugh. Comment, like and subscribe, I would appreciate it a lot. Next week, I'm hoping to show you a colony which is not very common on YouTube. They have received a new nest and are growing really fast. These ants are from Africa, and if I made you a little bit curious, make sure to come back. I like the colony a lot, and I hope you will do too. And for now, I hope you will enjoy the upcoming time lapse. And I'm also hoping that I'm going to see you next week. Bye bye!